Good morning and welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. My name's Simon and this is my daily Bitcoin price action analysis. Welcome and happy Thursday to you. That's right, we're getting into the business end of the week and weekly closure is, just about see it in the future there. Looking good so far. Before I get into the nitty gritty of the price action, just wanted to remind you I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. All right, so there's the weekly. Wow, looking good, man. Looking good. My initial target was achieved. Oh, yes, it was. It was achieved and has pushed above, indeed. My initial target as of yesterday was around 61,562, and as you can see, we've surpassed, or Bitcoin has surpassed that. And so I've got another weekly target up here. Now, it may not just be A1 straight to it, but 67, which is basically the all-time high. And I really didn't think just a few weeks ago, well, I'll say just a few weeks ago, October last year, that's a few months ago, to be talking about an all-time high in the first quarter of 2024. But there you go. That's why you just got to watch the price action, do what it tells you. On the and also there's, as long as the weekly closes here or above on the RSI, there won't be any divergence. So that would suggest higher time frame continuation. The daily is the same actually. From this high to this one, there's no divergence, and it's trying its best to avoid divergence with this high over here. So it does need to do a bit more before this becomes a local high. It needs to push up a bit more before this becomes a local high to confirm that. But, that's looking all right. I mean, you would not be shorting or selling at this point on a daily time frame. You may look for lower time frame downside, but certainly not on the higher time frames. Well, I wouldn't be anyway. The 4-hour is doing something similar. In fact, it succeeded to shrug off the RSI of down here, this high, on the last move. Well, really on this move, because again, the 4-hour, my scale's all to pot. The 4-hour hasn't really put in a local high yet. So, you could argue this is a high. But here, the 4-hour RSI is now above here. So there's no divergence. And again, that would signify more upside. Now, it might be, and this is just a guess, but if there is a 4-hour pullback to make this a 4-hour local high, and I'm not suggesting there will be one at the moment, but there will be one at some point, obviously, then at that point, if the RSI hasn't got above this level, that'll be the start of some divergence. So that wouldn't necessarily mean, downside in a significant manner, but it may start to signal that a few more moves and then some downside. So I'm just going to jump into my favorite time frame. And as you can see, as they would say in Blue Peter, here's one I prepared earlier. So there's a little chart. And I've just picked out a couple of logical areas for lines of randomness, as I like to do. And you can see the Valentine's range high here, just to recap. That was broken. It then made a move up, did some sideways and up consolidation against resistance with a further breakout. And I've now got, so this was the resistance area. And I've now got that as the lower time frame support. So it's coming at 58,000. If I zoom down, you can see my upside target, which is contingent on at least a 4-hour closure above 64.1, or just call it 64,000, is 67. It's basically the current all-time high. Wow, if Bitcoin closes a daily above there, there could be wicks all over the place. I mean, this was pretty volatile, and I'll talk about this in a second. But I just wanted to show you that level. So just around 67,000. And then probably more pertinently for now, this is the range that I have for the 15-minute or the lower time frames. And you can see that I'm not a pattern guy. I'm not a pattern guy, right? But you do see these things happening, and all they are high highs up against resistance. So this, you can see after this one, this spike up, and then this one, you can see that that's then set in a ceiling, if you like, or a resistance level on the lower time frames. And along that path, it created a sequence of higher lows. So the pattern people call this an ascending triangle. It's very similar to here, you know. So these things do come up, and I just try and be mindful of them. But all they really are, I mean, depending on where you draw the trend line from, but all they really are, it's an ascending triangle, is a manifestation of higher lows up against resistance. And so you can call them triangles, you can call them whatever you want, but that's what they are, higher lows up against resistance. And we got another one right here before my very eyes. I don't know where your eyes are. Your eyes might be all over the place. They might not even be watching this, which is great. But if you are watching, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And so here you go. There's a range top around 63.8, just rounding it up. It's always a bit of a range, so those aren't absolute numbers. And I put the bottom midway between these two wick lows and this wick high, which says to me that there's probably a rectangle of significant price action around here. I hope I haven't made you too dizzy with the movement of my mouse there. But ultimately, around this 58,000 mark is the current support on the lower time frames. And 4-hour closures below there, you'd start to think about a bit of a pullback, and that would probably set in on the 4-hour time frame, a local high. So not there yet, but that's food for thought. And prior to that, you'd want to see the lower time frame price action closing below this midpoint, which is literally a 50% between the range high and the range low, but it also corresponds to some logical price action as well. I think this wick high and this wick low were quite useful in a way because it basically set up the range for you. I know I haven't got my lines precisely on them. Well, that's because there's precisely no precise way of putting lines on a chart. But you can see roughly that's where I've got my range high and my range low. And I say it's a range. It's only a range if this continues within it. Otherwise, it's literally support and resistance with a continuation to the upside, signified by these higher lows. So I like to keep it simple, and I hope I'm giving you that impression. But looking good for more upside. Even, pull back to 58,000 wouldn't really change the overall picture on the higher time frames, so the daily and the weekly. You might start to be thinking differently about the overall bullishness of the market, but you certainly wouldn't, or I won't be changing my overriding frame of mind, which is for upside. And so I'm very careful if I take even lower time frame shorts when there is such a predominance for a buying market right now. Are we in FOMO territory? Don't know, man. I don't know. The FOMO is strong in Bitcoin. It always has been. I don't know. I don't think I can answer that question. I try and avoid FOMO as much as I can, and most of the time I succeed now. But every now and again, I still succumb to it. I think it's just human nature. All right, so I'll leave you with that. As I say, range highs coming in at 63.8, give or take. Range low, 58,000, with a range mid, 61. And we'll come back to it tomorrow. Take care. If you've enjoyed this, you'll see this face tomorrow. Take care.